if you want to throw the most difficult routines and take that risk, you get rewarded with oodles, like boatloads of tenths of a point and full points for your difficulty. So that allows the judges looking at execution to be very picky.
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to season 2 of Flipping Out with Bridget Sloan, the Olympic special. I am your host, Bridget Sloan, and I will be joined all season long by the one, the only, the legend herself, Miss Kathy Johnson-Clark, and we will be going over all things elite gymnastics. We will be dissecting the competitions leading up and throughout the Olympic Games. And for today's episode, we are going to be talking about elite scoring and what that looks like. We're going to look at those athletes that we consider a lock as of right now. Also, the athletes that maybe surprised us, and also those athletes that you cannot count out. Now, let's get into it. Well, Miss Kathy Johnson-Clark, Miss KJC, we're back, episode number 2, and we have a lot to get into, and I think the people will really enjoy this episode because, Kathy, this is your time to shine.
I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, but
well, we're talking data. I know that you brought your notes to the episode. I'm very excited about that. And I think this is a really amazing opportunity to really go into what elite gymnastics is going to look like, maybe from a viewer perspective, and what maybe things that they should look for. The scoring is a big difference than NCAA, which is what you and I are obviously most used to talking about, and that perfect 10. You actually might see 10-0 scores in elite, but that's you know what? I'm going to let you take it away, but I do want to talk to the people and share about just the biggest difference from your perspective, the biggest difference from elite to NCAA. And of course, the scoring and judging is something we can dive into, and we could actually do a full episode on just judging and scoring. But I think you have such a good perspective on all things gymnastics, of course, but especially I feel like judging and scoring is your specialty.
Well, first of all, judging and scoring are so much a part of the sport because it is an artistic sport that is judged. That's how we determine who wins, who's silver, who's bronze, who makes the team, and more those numbers are so critically important. And we've watched the evolution of scoring. As you mentioned, a 10.0, if you see a 10.0 in elite now, that's not a good score. That's a really, really bad total score. That usually means somebody's made a mistake. They've fallen a couple of times. So the 10.0, though, however, is used in elite because in elite scoring, there are two different scores that add together to give you the total score. And two sets of judges. So you've got the D panel and the E panel. The D panel comes up with the D score. D stands for difficulty. E score stands for execution. And judges are looking for different things. And it's really, there's no perfect way to judge or to select a scoring system, but this is getting there. And you don't want to let perfect be the enemy of good ever. So in the D score, here's the one tricky thing that they've had to try to figure out the balance. So the D score is unending. It is open-ended. It is based on exactly what you perform in your routine in terms of difficulty. And you can get extra tenths of a point for the most difficult skills. Think Simone Biles. So when you've got skills that go all the way up to, what are we up to? I now? The alphabet.
That's a really great question, but I'm sure we're probably up to I, J, K.
Yes. Yeah, JK,
We're
just
up
kidding.
there.
Yeah, we're just kidding. No, but we're getting there. Their skills are ranked from A all the way up. However far we go, Simone Biles is definitely pushing that envelope with a triple-double and a double Yurchenko. So you're going to see those start values or that D score, the really, really high ones are bumping up towards 7. We're looking at 6.0 all the way up. I'm trying to think what the highest I've seen, 6.8, 7.0.
Yeah.
Some bar routines we've seen. Those are crazy difficult routines. Many of them are from 5.0 or high fours to mid-range 5. But look at the difference right there in tenths of a point. And it's additive. So think of the D score as additive. You add for how much difficulty you do. And it's based on the 8 skill, your hardest 8 skills. And you think of the gymnasts performing the hardest routines, and they've got more than 8 skills, obviously, but you count your most difficult 8. Then over on the E side, the execution. So much is thrown in that execution. And here's your 10.0. So we still have the 10.0 in elite. It is deductive. So they start with 10.0 and then they subtract for errors, you missed elements, something, that kind of thing. But falls, balance breaks, form breaks, and then of course artistry, which we should dive into at some point so that people understand exactly what those artistry deductions are. And a lot of people confuse that. So, and we are seeing here's the good. Let's talk about the good. A lot of people are looking at these execution scores, and I know our dear friend John Roethlisberger says this. He's like, how did they find 2 whole points of deductions there? And I was like, hold my beer. So I'm so sorry. I apologize to everybody because I do see them. And because you're giving full credit, I'm talking full credit for difficulty because it's additive and it's open-ended. So if you want to throw the most difficult routines and take that risk, you get rewarded. And you get rewarded with oodles, like boatloads of tenths of a point and full points for your difficulty. So that allows the judges looking at execution to be very picky. Really, every little thing, an unpointed toe, a slightly soft knee, flat-footed on floor exercise and on balance beam, and all of the things that especially gymnasts from my generation, it was like, that's what we strive for because we were in a 10 routine. So we had to pay attention to all those little details. Not that they're not now, but think about it. You have to play that risk reward much more in elite to get the level of difficulty that you're comfortable with, can be consistent with, and it's worth the risk. So
yeah, I feel like my biggest takeaway, now mind you, I have been removed from elite for a long time, but the biggest takeaway that I see is it really is a strategy. I mean, it is a strategic, what can we do for each athlete? And every routine is going to be different. Every athlete is going to every athlete and coach kind of has a method to the madness. I think everyone goes about routines differently, but in my opinion, it's like, how are we going to maximize difficulty while minimizing execution?
That is
Did
the
I say that
absolute
right?
goal. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we see that in college, but they have to do that all within that little system.
Right.
Here, there's a lot more reason to push that difficulty. Okay. Now, the only thing that I think kind of keeps the reins on is the 3 at 3 count.
Oh yeah,
So
for
you
sure.
cannot run the risk of a missed routine. You can, however, run the risk of not making a connection. So say on bars, remember when we talked about Suni Lee's bar routine,
Oh yeah.
most difficult routines. Her maximum score would be right up there, right around 7.0 if she connected everything, made every connection. Now, if she's slightly off in that routine, she doesn't have to connect those 2 skills. She can just kip right back up to a handstand and do the second skill, but you don't get that extra tenths of a point for those connections, for that bonus. So your D score will go down, but you haven't made a mistake. Do you see what I mean? So you haven't fallen, you haven't had a break, you just get your maximum D score. So one of the things that I dove into and this is, trust me, this is what the selection team is going to be doing. When you look at the maximum score potential for the US team and you break it down, you look at their D scores, and I saw what they printed out. So in the all around, The highest D score, no surprise, in the all around, this is just difficulty, is Simone Biles at 25.9. So that's all additive. That is just
Gosh.
all D score. Okay.
Wow. Mhm.
Jocelyn Robertson was 23.6. So had the second highest.
Mhm.
And she ended up, what was she in the all around? She was down a ways because she had some mistakes. I got to
Mhm.
find her, but because of her execution score, most
Mhm.
of her execution scores were in the sevens. So there's right there an indication of that, you know, balance of,
Right.
but yet her strength, because you have to do your strength.
Mhm.
If you can throw these tricks and get credit for them consistently, by all means do it while you're working on cleaning up the execution and the mistakes. Shilese Jones was third with
Mhm.
23.2 as the third highest D score. Then Jordan Childs, 22.5, and then Jade
Wow.
Carey and Sky Blakely at 22.4. Then you look at the E score. Now listen to this. So Shilese had the highest total E score, 34.45. Okay. And you think of her gymnastics, very clean execution.
Beautiful.
Still things that she can work on, but just
Mhm.
much fewer flaws in her execution and her form, mainly in
Mhm.
form, not
Yeah.
execution. There's a difference between technical execution and then execution of the skill in terms of having a break and
Right.
form polish.
Mhm.
Then
Oh, I like
Simone
that.
was second, 33.9. Jordan was third. Jordan really had a hell of a meet. Like
Yeah.
really
Oh, yeah.
the most impressive. I don't want to say surprising because we've seen her do this before, but getting healthier,
Yeah.
we just, being able to put everything together.
I think you can see the confidence that she's bringing. And we're gonna dive into some of the athletes, that maybe made some noise
Uh-huh.
at classics, and she's absolutely one of them, which I
Yes.
again, like you said, I don't like the word surprising because it's not surprising. She's
Yeah.
Jordan Childs, and she has some of the best performance style, in my opinion, that
Yes.
she's brought to elite, so
Yeah. And
we won't get into that just yet.
she brings so much joy too,
Yeah.
because you cannot miss her sportsmanship too,
Mhm.
the way she supports everybody else. But
Right.
what was nice to see was she's clearly gotten to a place where she's building her confidence,
Mhm.
not just in terms of because she wants to be who she is. And she is unapologetically Jordan. And that I
Right.
love, love, love that. Putting in the work, and she's able to put in the work
Right.
in terms of injury. So that was obvious that so much work has been done. Um, so, anyways, when you get back to the scoring, all of these gymnasts, they're now getting ready to go to a big meet.
Mhm.
Now, and the thing that's not going to change that much, some people's D score is going to go up a little bit. I think Jade Carey has a few more upgrades, like one or two, possibly. She may add a twist on every single tumbling pass, which would
I
be
just
insane.
I wanna know what that's I will never know what this is like, but for these athletes, I have a question for you that can upgrade every single meet. I wanna know what that feels like to have that many skills in your back pocket. That's just my question for you guys. If someone
Yeah.
could let me know what that feels like, I just wanna know 'cause I'll never know what that feels like, and it looks really cool, and I'm jealous, but anyway.
Notice Bridget did not ask me what that's like because I did not
Kathy,
know what
I
it's
think you and I were on similar playing fields, and when we went to compete, that's what you saw is what you got, you know? That's that
yeah,
was where we were at.
yeah. The good news was I couldn't water down. There was nothing else
Oh,
that
same.
like,
Yeah.
okay. I
Yeah.
remember one meet I was going, I wasn't quite ready to do triple twist, one and a half twist through, double
Mhm.
twist, and then double pike at the end. I was like, okay. But somebody's, what are you going to do? I said, my passes. But why? You're going to die. I'm like,
Well,
I
that's all I've got.
no, I could at least go one and a half through the layout step out or something, that I could change that. But
You could make it work.
no, okay, let's move on. We're not going to dive back into that again. But so some of the gymnasts I think can have some upgrades and we're going to
Mhm.
see some higher D scores. They're going to get credit for things that that they weren't quite able to do. And
Right.
that's when you get into the dance, um,
Mhm.
the leaps. I know there's a lot of buzz out there about, especially the U.S. team, when we get into that international scoring, in
Yeah.
terms of how we're going to get credit for some of the leaps, jumps, and turns.
Mhm.
Um, and that I don't know, because I haven't watched the judging up close to see how strict they're being, on how
Right.
deep their eyes are in terms of watching. And this is somewhat troubling to me too, because there's
Mhm.
so much focus on, did they get all the way around 1.5 turns? Um, were,
Yeah.
were the legs level? But you miss
Mhm.
other parts of the leaps and jumps and going in and out that are, for me, also important in terms of just precision, polish. So that's just gonna a wait and see for me to see
Mhm.
how. And then the turns, are they dropping their heel? Are they going to get full credit for a double, or will it be downgraded to a 1.5, or from a triple
Mhm.
to a 2.5, and those kind of things? So
Well, it is artistic gymnastics. And the
mhm,
one thing that I love that across the board elite is doing more of is showing the artistry. Whether it is the dance, literally the actual dance to the music or the dance elements. I mean, it was just about power and it was about who had, the highest tumbling and who we did 5 passes.
mhm,
5. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 passes. I can't
right,
believe that I actually did that.
yeah. And we wonder what happened to dance for a
Oh,
while. I
you had
mean,
no time.
there was no time to dance. And then they changed. Then they're like, okay, well, let's encourage more dance. You have to come off of one foot in the corner
Oh
to
my
before you
gosh.
get. I was like, oh my god, are you kidding me? Are you
I
gonna
know.
think that's gonna make it more, choreography or dance? It ended up looking silly on a lot of people,
Yeah.
instead of actually dancing. Like, but that's going down a different rabbit hole. But the thing that, and a lot of people saw it as, okay, they need more dance. That means more jumps and leaps and turns. I was like, to a dancer. So I
Mhm.
danced for 10 years after gymnastics. To a dancer, those are tricks. Okay, so those are tricks.
Right.
It's not the choreography, it's not the dance, it's not some of the things that they're looking for in artistry. So yes, they are looking at a higher level of difficulty in those dance skills, but that goes to your D score. That's
Yeah.
difficulty. And then of course execution, whether you're going to get credit or get
Mhm.
deductions in your execution for the form, lack of extension, footwork, precision, because you want precise footwork and not flat.
Mhm.
And those hops and skips into the leaps is an area where I think gymnasts need a lot of work and a lot more training and understanding of how to make those look like a dancer would do them.
Yeah, and actually you bring up a good point. I never really thought about kind of the lead up. We talk about the lead up to tumbling so much and how important it is, but it's equally as important in every dance element that they do.
Yes, it's actually so it's that's the dance. Like, that is
Yeah.
the basics of dance, being able to travel across the floor, whether they're walks, skips, jumps, hops, turning hops. Um,
Mhm.
there's a correct technique in dance of doing all those. It's not like a
Yeah.
run hurdle into a round up back handspring where people, you're not
Yeah.
judging whether toes are pointed or, you're lifting off the floor. You're trying to build up power for your tumbling pass and then go
Mhm.
into a technically perfect round up back handspring. But so I think we lost that. And a lot of it was because
Mhm.
people were trying to really build their D score, both in the acrobatics, tumbling, and in the
Right.
trick of dance. And we prescribed it to a point where I hate to say this because it's going to sound awful.
It's okay.
I'm bored by the leaps and jumps. I'm sorry. They're like, everybody's doing all the same. Doesn't mean I can't go, oh wow, that was a beautiful ring, or that was a beautiful
Right.
I see some gorgeous leaps, but do you know how many really cool, original, very difficult leaps are being done by dancers that Gymnasts could do the barrel turns, like all these really cool, oh my God, amazing things. But because they're not in the code of points, nobody's going to do them
Mm.
because you
Well,
don't get anything for them.
Kathy, maybe you should rewrite the code of points.
No.
I also do think, though, I wanna go back because I did say that back in my day, we didn't have time for dance. I just wanna clarify that I didn't have time for dance. That was me personally. I
Yeah.
just wanna, I don't want anybody that I competed with saying that they didn't dance. I personally was just trying to survive and catch my breath. So when you're doing 5 tumbling passes, but I think that's the difference now is that they're not doing as many tumbling, and I think you're seeing one thing that I do love is you're seeing more personalized floor routines. If
Yes.
I don't
Stylish.
know how to say it. Thank
Stylish.
you. Style.
Style.
Yes.
I think that's
Yes.
a good thing to bring up because a lot of people confuse style and artistry.
Mhm.
So a lot of people they'll even assume they know that the style of dance I prefer. I love
Mhm.
all dance. To be clear, I mean there are so many genres of dance that I love, from ballet to hip hop to contemporary to
Oh,
lyrical,
yeah.
all over the place, and I love it all. And there's a
Mhm.
correct technique
Mhm.
for all of them. So those are styles, and people's individual style of dance and movement can be one thing, but artistry is part of all dance. It's the
Mhm.
way that it is performed, um, artistically correct, not just in a stylish fashion, but also artistically correct in terms of the type of dance skill they're doing, or step, or piece of
Mhm.
choreography, and the fluidity of the movement, the musicality, whether it's to the music, whether it engages the full body,
Mhm.
which I shared something somewhere. I don't know where, but if you look at the basics of dance, and having a strong base leg and base foot allows you to do those big sweeping movements without losing your balance. When I watch gymnasts now, they're always on the verge of losing their balance or misstepping or moving their foot. It's almost like in basketball, you can't slide that your pivot foot. Well, in gymnastics, your base leg, it needs to be so firmly planted that when
Right.
you take your center of gravity and big sweeping movement off, it can be big, extended, full, beautiful,
Mhm.
no loss of balance, no foot faults. Those are called foot faults, and those
Hmm.
are little deductions. That's how those little artistry deductions add up, and the execution in terms of the choreography and the dance. Just all the missteps, flat foot,
Mhm.
uh, an extra step because
Right.
they're off balance.
Oh,
Yeah.
checks out.
Or
I
the
like
feet
it.
or toes not sickled,
Ooh,
correct.
the
That's
old sickle foot.
incorrect, ankle position,
Mhm.
whether they're on toe or toes pointed, so.
Oh, well, there you have it. Well, Kathy is the queen of artistry, and now you know why. Because, man, you just know how to dissect a routine unlike anybody that I know personally. So that's why I really love allowing you to get into the judging and the scoring because I think you just have such an interesting take on it. And I feel like the whole time we were talking, I was over here like, oh,
Oh,
yeah, that
yeah.
makes sense. Okay.
I hope people also know that while I'm dissecting, I'm also enjoying
Hmm.
and admiring, because I can see past those things and see all the really exciting, great gymnastics
Right.
they're doing. It's just, if you look at judging as this, it's just assessing. It's
Hmm.
assessing a
Yeah.
value, um, of the composition, of the difficulty, and of the technique and the artistry and the form. Well,
I mean, yeah,
but it's
that's
hard not to
there.
take it personal because
Right.
that's the thing that I always try. You want to remind people out there, because you and I know
Mhm.
how hard we work, especially at our weaknesses,
Mhm.
especially the things that come harder to us. It's not like we don't know.
Oh, I know. Isn't that the best?
I mean,
You
every
should really work on this. I am.
I know. I mean, every time I'd see my triple twist, I was like, "Ugh." Just,
Oh, I
I
know.
mean, I wanna explain to people, I said, "We learned it back before we had pits." unfortunately. And when
You
you're
can't be
learning,
blamed.
no,
You
no, no,
can't be
you can't.
blamed.
It's like when you're trying to just make sure you don't hurt yourself because you're landing on a hard surface.
Survival. That's called survival.
Yes, trying to do 3 twists and still have to land. Oh, that's not quite 3. That's gonna hurt.
I
So,
mean,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. Well, moving on, we just had classics. Classics are done, classics are over. There was a lot that happened, but there is a very big meet happening this weekend. It is championships week. I personally loved championships. I thought it was one of the better meets, in my opinion. But I want to talk about, and I want to do a little deeper dive into some athletes that maybe we think are locks, because this championships is essentially I mean, that's how you qualify to Olympic trials. So this is a very, it's an important meet. I mean, there's no, I don't want to add anything extra to this
Yeah,
meet, but it is important. And I think
yeah.
there are a lot of athletes to choose from, personally. From what we saw at classics, I think there were some athletes, again, like I said earlier, we're going to talk about those athletes that made some noise, maybe those athletes that are very much so in the mix, but maybe didn't have the best showing at
Mhm.
classics.
Yeah.
But I think starting off, the locks that I have moving forward onto Olympic trials, and I know actually, you know what? I'll let you pick yours. I have two personally, and I
Okay.
have a feeling we're gonna have the exact same two.
I think so too.
Okay.
Okay, so based on what we saw, and what I anticipate to
Mm-hmm.
continue, that's just
Yep.
the track that
Yep.
they're on. Simone Biles and Shilese Jones are the most locked in, not locked into making that team, except it
Mm-hmm.
does equate to that,
Right.
locked into their gymnastics, their
Yeah.
routines, their every aspect of their training is on track
Mm-hmm.
to not just peak, but be competitive with the world, right?
Right.
So those 2 are locks for me unless something else changes, and it's just not going to because I'm not allowing it.
I would agree to that. I would agree to that. No, those were my two. Those were literally my two because, like
Yeah.
you said, and I like the way that you said it, they are locked into their gymnastics,
Yes.
which is well, for me, what's the most impressive about that statement is neither one of them had a perfect showing at classics.
Yeah.
They didn't have perfect routines. They
That's
had
exciting.
amazing, exactly. They had amazing routines. And I think they are just I think the two of them, they have so much
Yeah.
talent,
Yeah.
and they know how to bring it. And yes, those are the
Their
two
confidence
athletes.
seems locked in, even when Simone can be honest about, "Oh my god, I'm so nervous." Like,
Mhm.
but the confidence that you see in their gymnastics, even if they're
Mhm.
feeling let's just get it out there. Everybody's gonna feel nerves,
Oh
okay?
yeah.
And that's just part of it. In fact, I wanna bring this up real quick. I love the great Billie Jean King who said, "Pressure is a privilege." And it
Great
is.
words.
To be
Mhm.
able to be in that position, to be able to compete for an Olympic trials, okay,
Mhm.
let's not say team first.
Right.
Making it to the Olympic trials is huge. That
Yeah.
is an accomplishment that so few athletes ever get to do. Making it to championships is a huge deal.
Mhm.
You're some of the best in the country trying to make one of the best teams in the world. So let's just put that out there. So it is a privilege, but I want it to be, here's my new thing: pressure is a gift. It is a gift to you because it elevates. Okay, think about it. No matter what kind of nerves it
Mhm.
is still just energy, whether it's nervous anticipation or even like, or actual stress, because stress isn't bad. Stress
Mhm.
elevates things too, it's energy, or it's excitement, adrenaline. That's all energy too. And
Mhm.
all of those kinds of energy have to be focused. So that's where preparation comes in, where you can take all of that energy and and use that to focus in, to dial in your gymnastics, to get to the level where we see Simone and Shilese, because I think that's where they're headed. As you said, it was so exciting. They weren't perfect. They were damn good though. So
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
they are just going to get better and better. So pressure is a gift. Treat it as a gift. You want to embrace this. You want that elevation because this is next level time. So with that in mind, I'm going to move on to, I've got this little grouping.
Oh,
They're not so much I don't like the word lock, but I do like it,
okay.
So
Okay.
I'm going to Suni with an asterisk. And here's why.
Mhm.
Only because she is still climbing.
Right.
And and in doing so, I mean, she can be an all-around gymnast, obviously. She
Mhm.
won the Olympic all-around title. She's a phenomenal all-around gymnast. But coming back from her kidney disease, like, first of all, kudos, hats off, bow down in
Right.
homage. For her to be able to just be where she's at right now is phenomenal. Her beam, wow, is right there. That's a lock for me. Like, I want a Suni beam in that team. That would be a great thing. If she can get her bars up to where her beam is, for me, that's when they would go, okay,
Mhm.
we need Suni for her bars and beam because she's going to be a top 3, both in D score and an execution score,
Mhm.
max score potential. And then the ones in that same mix, and they're all so different. Jordan and Jade, those are the 2 who made the noise for me, that just went in and went boom,
Yeah.
like, don't count me out. We've
Right.
seen what they did at the last Olympic Games and then at World Championships. But then they both took did whatever, they just sort of, like, elite gymnastics went away a little bit.
Right. Yeah. 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 I mean, I was gonna bring this up after, but I'm gonna bring it up now. How crazy is it that the athletes, in my opinion, that made some noise were also, Jade, Jordan, and Suni made a lot of noise at Classic. And again, like you said before, was not surprising because I don't like that term because it makes, I don't know, it just
Yeah,
takes away from their talent. They all are, were, are
yeah,
NCAA athletes.
yes,
And I just feel this little piece of me is like, that made such a huge difference for
yeah.
all 3 of them. For all the athletes that are competing in elite right now that are either former NCAA athletes or current, you just see there's a difference.
They showed the value. They showed the value of
That.
NCAA gymnastics. They showed
Mhm.
what a gift it is and that it is the two-way street for them to step over into that because they worked on elements and aspects of their gymnastics
Mhm.
that when you're doing elite, you're so focused on all the difficulties. Sometimes you don't have the time or the energy or the, like, bandwidth really
Yeah. Yeah.
focus on those things. But in college, they're like most important, and you have to do it week after week.
Right.
So now you've developed this layer of resilience, both
Mhm.
in your training, your physical, your mental, your emotional, everything. I just think we have made such strong women in NCAA gymnastics, and we're seeing that strength um, from them, especially, go doing all of this. And then you have to throw into that mix, because here comes my next tier that I'm going to throw in. I know I've got a bunch in there, but they're kind of in tiers right now. There's not a separation in terms of just, I mean, I love all of these athletes.
They're just categories. They're
They're just
not better or worse. They're just categories.
exactly. So Leanne Wong,
Mhm.
Sky Blakely, Kayla DiCello, they did not have great meets, but let me remind everybody, classics is not the meet to have your great, like, it's still
Right.
supposed to be the step one. It's supposed to, it was hard for these athletes because so much attention was on them at
Right.
this time. And that wasn't a bad thing because like iron strength, what is it? Iron strengthens iron.
Oh,
They
iron sharpens iron.
you need to throw yourself into that kind of heat and pressure to come
Mhm.
out of it a diamond. Like, you just have to. And so I love it that they all dove in at all different stages in their
Mhm.
preparation and readiness, and they're going to be better because of it. So championships is going to be phenomenal. They got the taste of what that stress and pressure and feels
Mhm.
like. You can get rid of some of the heebie-jeebies, the like,
Right.
that you
Yep.
don't know what to do with, that kind of the weird nerves. Uh,
Yeah.
and now I think we're going to see some really great performances, um, s- with more gymnasts in the mix. That makes things that much more difficult, um, especially if you don't look at, like when I just look at it, the numbers, you're looking at D score potential and E score
Mhm.
potential, and you remove the human part, it may make it easier to select a team. But then when you add all of the human part,
Mhm.
that makes it really, really challenging. Um, and also just the way that they're going to meet the pressure of the Olympic Games.
Right.
Okay. You don't want to put somebody in a situation where it's beyond their readiness for
For
that.
sure.
Like,
For sure.
nobody wants to be in that position. Nobody wants to put someone in that position.
Right.
So I think we also need to talk about Gabby,
Yes.
and it's an important time to talk about it, especially because when I put the asterisk by Suni's name,
Mhm.
Suni and her team, they knew the rules, and here's the hard thing about gymnastics. It's like with selection. The rules are clear. They actually are, and everybody knows them going in. So what happened with Gabby, um, and Suni? So Suni was able to petition
Mhm.
and it was honored,
Yep.
granted. So she's going to compete in all around because she never competed in the all around in the previous meets and didn't meet the score.
Right.
So she had qualified for the other events, but then she's in a position where she could petition
Mhm.
compete in the all around, and it was granted. Gabby had done the all around, and not qualified in the all around, but she's qualified in 3 events. So the hope, her everything rested on classics qualifying in the all around and having to do all 4 events, which is why I think in that moment, after missing bars, it
Yeah.
was just the decision was made. Nope, there's no one, you risk an injury. Yes,
Right.
it's an
Right.
opportunity to get out there, test those other routines, get that experience. I don't think Gabby needs the experience of pressure.
No, and I
No.
think Gabby Douglas is such a unique piece
Yes. Of the
to championships because, man, did she look good leading up to classics. Every video I saw of her was just like, wow. I mean,
yeah. Yeah.
she looks incredible. She
Yeah.
looks incredible, and she's an athlete. You don't count her out. Don't
No,
do that.
don't.
Don't do that.
And it's good for us. It's so good for us
Mhm.
to see this woman, um, take this on,
Yeah.
and especially for the reasons. It's very, very personal to her, and I relate to this. It's like, I did gymnastics with my heart, and
Mhm.
I needed my heart to be full. Um, and it was important for me to be able to leave the sport loving it.
Yeah.
That's just because, let's face it, gymnastics is hard. And there are days
Mhm.
where we may love it and it's not loving us back. Okay. So it's real easy to fall out of love and have real
Mhm.
complicated relationships with this sport. Um, and so, I mean, I hope, I want to see her go out there and do these 3 events with the fullest, biggest heart and show everything that she can do, everything that she's
Mhm.
worked for. Um, she's a gift. It's a gift to all of us. And I hope it feels like a gift to her.
Mhm.
Because it would be give gymnastics an opportunity to honor her and this quest. and
Yeah.
help her finish it in a way that feels good, wherever that is,
Right.
however that is.
Yeah. I could not agree more. Honestly, that I think this championships is a huge meet for sure because these athletes are either moving on or this could be the last meet of their season. And I hate saying that, and I don't want to put again, like I said, I'm not here to put pressure on anything, but at the same time, I think across the board, from a viewer standpoint, I watch these athletes and they're not out there doing their job, they're out there doing gymnastics.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference in doing gymnastics because you love it and you find that joy, you find that love. I know I was able to find that joy and love in NCAA, but one thing I love is that you're seeing athletes not only find the joy, the love, the passion in NCAA, but they're also now taking it back to elite. And I think that is a very just special, amazing. It gives me goosebumps because that's what sports is about, is finding the love and joy and doing it because you love it.
Yeah, and building on that, um, is so I'm almost 65. Be 65 in
You don't
September.
look a day
I'm
over
married.
35.
This message that I wanna send to everybody out there, because I remember what it felt like when it felt like everything.
Mhm.
Nothing else mattered except making this Olympic team or this world championship team or winning this medal, or like it gets so big, and it is when you're in that moment. But I want to when you're here looking back and telling all the others, there is so much more in life ahead of you, no matter what, no matter where your gymnastics journey takes you or where you end, whether you go on to trials, whether you make this team, whether you go on and win medals. Life is still ahead of you. And there are so many things that when you look back, you're like, oh my gosh. And I heard Mary Lou just say it right now. She goes, I give all my 5 medals back for my 4 girls, her 4 daughters.
Mhm.
Your why changes, everyone.
Right.
It does not minimize how important this is to you now and how willing you are to do everything humanly possible to make your dream come true. But it's not life. Sports is not life. It mirrors life. I will tell you that. Everything that I've
Mhm.
learned from sports, I have used in life. Oh my gosh. All of the lessons. I mean, here I am. I'm 65. Life is a balance beam. Pressure is a gift. Like, it's
Mhm.
all from sports, but it does help you in life. So I hope everybody can keep that perspective. That's the gymnasts, the coaches, the fans. This is a human endeavor, and only 5 are going to make that team. Okay, only 5. Um, I don't know how many go on to trials.
I
Mm,
believe it's 12 and then you can
Yes,
petition, I
right.
believe.
Yes. So, and there are what, 41?
There's a lot. There's a lot. And
It's
there
a
are so few juniors that they're adding a junior senior
Yes,
session. Personally, love that. Love.
yes.
I love it.
I do too, especially because here's the thing. There there are so many gymnasts there that they're not in a position to make an Olympic team.
Mhm.
Okay. They are, however, in a position to have a personal best on the day that it matters most. So many, it's like to achieve the honor, the thrill of making it to Olympic trials, or to placing the highest you've ever placed
Mhm.
at the championship. Like, there are so many other goals to accomplish and achieve. And I want to make sure that we who know that celebrate that.
Well, Kathy, you pretty much stole what my question was going to be to wrap up this episode because I was going to say it is the Xfinity US Gymnastics Championships this weekend. And on the last episode, you gave amazing words of wisdom. And I think if you have any other words of wisdom, which mind you, that was really good. And you always speak from the heart and I wish you were my mentor when I was a gymnast. Like, I just feel like I would have a different perspective on life in gymnastics, but that's okay. You're my mentor now, and that's what's important.
Mhm.
But this weekend, like you said, it is a big weekend. But if there is any more pieces of advice that you could give the athletes competing.
Stay in the moment. I the thing that I found such beauty in watching classics, um, I felt joy and happiness from these athletes. So
Mhm.
there was a time during my gymnastics career where there felt like there was so much stress that nobody could actually be happy in the moment.
Mhm.
I see something totally different. I mean, maybe it's because they're so used to being, watched and seen. It's like, oh, I have to put on this,
Mhm.
maybe it's social media face. I don't know. I don't think so. I feel a genuine happiness. And I think these athletes feel, and I want to support that. I want them to know how much they're loved, how much they're admired, how much we are cheering them on, and that we are also at the same time their safety net. That's the way I've always wanted to that's the way I feel more and more, is that I want them dreaming big, shoot for the stars, because 'cause they're looking up. They're going for, they're shooting the moon. We can all be their safety net too, because not everybody's gonna catch the moon or land on the moon, but they can catch a star. They can catch it. Like, it's a great time to celebrate every single step.
That wraps up episode number 2 of Flipping Out with Bridget Sloan, the Olympic special. I am your host, Bridget Sloan, and make sure to tune in every week where Kathy Johnson Clark and I will be talking all things elite gymnastics. Make sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day. Let's make some good life choices out there, and don't forget to be awesome. Bye, guys.